Sarah, this is a cool episode. Why is that? 'Cause it's our 50th!
It's our 50th episode! I can't believe we're here! I can't believe it's our 50th episode, and some of you are listening to this or seeing this early because we are having our 50th episode vampire premiere at 9 p.m. Saturday 10th on YouTube only. Technically 7:30 CST, 8:30 EST. Discord is, on Discord is where the event starts, so that the video can premiere at 9. But yeah, so if you're here, Hi! We're glad that you're here with us and that we get to enjoy the chaos all together.
Yes.
If you are not listening to this on Wednesday, if you're listening to this on Thursday, no problem. Mm-hmm. Join our public Discord so that you can know when certain events like this are happening. Yeah. And follow our Instagram where we also post events like this or announcements of events like this. Yeah. But without further ado, welcome to Story Sirens, the podcast where we deep dive into myths and legends from around the world. And today marks our 50th episode of doing so.
Woo!
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Yenny. And we are both over the moon to have been with you guys for a whole dang year.
It's an entire year, that's right. Our first ever episode where we covered the legend of Tamlin aired on September 5th, 2024. Happy anniversary, friends!
Happy anniversary, friends! Oh my God, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us every single Thursday. We are so thankful for all your continued support, encouragement, and ideas for new episodes.
Story Sirens wouldn't exist without all of you listeners, and we are so excited about what year 2 is going to bring. We also want to give a special shout out to our growing Discord community, which just last night joined us for a fun watch party for this very episode. Is that time travel? I don't know.
I might be. And are you jealous about that? Because you don't have to be. Just like Sarah said, our Discord community is free to join, and we'd love to meet you and learn more about our listeners. The invite link is always available in the show notes, because we love you, duh.
We really do. And do you know what else we love?
Espresso martinis.
Yeah, that's a tough relationship. But it's 10 a.m. right now, Yenny, so.
Oh, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
True, but okay, let's try this again. What else do we love?
Enemies to lovers trope?
Also true. Okay, this is getting hard.
Like Edward Cullen's abs hard?
Yes, you got there. Yes. What are the Cullens, Yenny?
Shiny. Sparkly.
Vampires! We got there. Thanks to listener Kat for giving us this idea.
If, like Kat, you have suggestions for future episodes, let us know via Discord or comment on any platform.
We do read the comments.
We do.
For good or bad.
Yeah, no, we haven't had any bad comments.
We haven't had
no
any bad
trolls
ones.
come by.
Don't start.
Because
Don't start that. We're sensitive.
Okay? Now get ready,
sensitive.
ghouls and gals, as we start off.
Did
you? As we start off the holiday season with a bloody good deep dive.
Oh, yes. Let's sink our teeth in today's episode regarding one of the oldest and most well-known supernatural creatures.
Please do note that today's episode covers blood, gore, death, and, for some reason and continuous theme, harm to children. Listener discretion is advised.
We do not support this, but apparently mythological monsters do. So. Now, unfortunately for Yenny and myself, vampires weren't always extremely good-looking and sparkly.
No, they were fearsome demonic creatures that you certainly wouldn't want to have next to you.
We wouldn't see any romanticized versions of vampires or vampiric creatures until the 19th century. But first, let's try to go back as far into history as we can.
Yes. While we can't pinpoint the exact origin of vampire-like creatures, we can say there's been talk of them throughout the ancient world. Starting off in Mesopotamian religion, Lamashtu was the daughter of the sky god Anu, and one of the most feared female demons out there. She was known to drink the blood of men and also eat their flesh, as well as bring nightmares, miscarriages, and had no problems killing a baby or two.
Yeah, really not a nice lady.
Nope, not at all.
In ancient India, the Vitala or Vital were mischievous vampiric creatures who dwelled in cemeteries and forests, waiting for unsuspecting humans to cross their paths. The Vitala would possess human bodies, both dead or alive, and were known to play pranks on innocent victims. I want to know what kind of prank this is.
I do too.
But these creatures could be malevolent or benevolent, as Vitalas were also known to safeguard villages as well as tell you your future, good and bad.
Apparently, too, they would also hang upside down from a tree and surprise you by plopping down next to you.
Sounds a little familiar. Okay.
In ancient China, jiangshis were nothing short of terrifying. If a person suffers a traumatic death, their soul can get stuck in the body, thus turning them into a zombie-like creature. While the literal translation of jiangshi means stiff corpse, they are known as hopping vampires, since the body, now dead and decaying, is unable to walk correctly and usually hops to its target. Anybody know about rigor mortis?
I was going to say, this is like our first little introduction to rigor mortis occurring in these vampiric tales. They were depicted as having sharp teeth, long nails, and glowed an eerie green.
And the jiangshi would come out at night and take the qi, or life essence, of their victims.
All right, we're starting to really see some familiar traits now.
Oh, yeah. We'll cover the jiangshi more in depth in a later episode because there is a lot. And also, thanks, Kat, for telling us about the jiangshi.
We appreciate you, Kat.
We love you.
So, finally, for ancient world vampires, it should be no surprise that the ancient Greeks also had a vampire-like creature in their early history. Impuses were shape-shifting spirits under the command of the goddess of magic and witchcraft, Hecate or Hecate. They were able to transform into beautiful women and entice the lonely traveler, only to drink their blood and eat their flesh.
Yeah, giving succubi vibes along with those vampiric vibes. Lots of blood-sucking going on this list.
Which absolutely makes sense. And so those are some of the more ancient vampires, and we're going to cover a few more vampires from around the world that have somewhat ancient origins. So, starting with...
The Upiors are from Slavic and Turkic mythology. Upiors were people who had been cursed before their death, or whose corpse was desecrated after death. Upiors were believed to have glowing eyes at night, could walk in direct sunlight, would drink the blood of their human victims, could cause death with their shrieks, and would in general harass the living, especially if they had known them in life. Ooh.
Rude.
Yeah.
Also sounds a little bit like the Banshees.
It does. Going on with this list, the Kuntilanak, as it's known in Indonesia, or Pontianak, as it's known in Malay, is often the vengeful spirit of a woman who died in childbirth. She is often described as beautiful, wearing flowing white clothes, her long hair down, accompanied by the sound of a crying infant and the smell of decay or plumeria flowers. Kind of gives me La Llorona vibes.
Right, she's very La Llorona.
Yes. She lures men to a violent death by her hands so she may feast on their blood. She only appears during full moons. If the sound of a crying baby or a laughing woman are loud, she's far away. And if they're quiet, she is very, very close to you, so you better run.
That's terrifying.
Also, you should just run if you hear like a random baby wail and woman laughter. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like that
weird.
combination, that's a little sinister.
Yeah.
So, now, throughout Europe, Africa, the Americas, and parts of Asia, revenants, or dead creatures brought back to life in order to haunt the living, were dreaded beings.
Yeah, I would think so.
Revenant tales began to show up as early as the Middle Ages in Europe. These beings have now come to be thought of as ghosts, zombies, and, you guessed it, vampires. Keep them in mind as we continue this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Now, common threads in the vampire's history, aside from drinking blood, is its connection to death, disease, and disaster. Vampiric creatures across the globe were held responsible for the terrible afflictions communities faced. Illnesses that were not well understood were attributed to the curses of vampires. And it was believed that calling out a vampire by name would only further incite the creature's wrath. Kind of like how you should only call the Fae the good people.
Oh, yeah.
See, we've got some common themes. So, from 1725 to 1755 in Eastern Europe, vampire mania took a firm hold of the people.
That's right. Vampires were popular way before Twilight, unfortunately, or Interview with the Vampire, or even Dracula.
That's true, although popular might not be the right word. People believed the dead were rising and tormenting the living.
Yeesh.
The start of the vampire hysteria began in 1725 in Serbia with the case of farmer Peter Balgojovic. At 62 years old, the man suddenly dropped dead at his farm work. He was mourned and he was buried. According to legend, Peter crawled out of his own grave and went to the home of his son, asking for food. The next morning, Peter's son was found dead.
Peter.
After the first murder, it was believed the corrupted spirit of Peter Balgojovic attacked and murdered 9 more people. The community members armed themselves with knives, garlic, and religious iconography and exhumed Peter's body, pulled it out of the grave.
Mm-hmm.
They noted it did not look like it had decayed at all, and so they set the body on fire. Supposedly, the deaths stopped after the body was destroyed.
Wait. Didn't we just talk about how desecrating a body would create a vampire? This is a vicious cycle.
It is. It is a vampiric cycle.
Ah.
Now, several other tales circulated throughout the region of people being haunted by the spirits of their deceased loved ones. In order to prevent further vampiric hauntings, vampire burials became a very popular pastime during this great vampire panic.
Love that it's a popular pastime. What are
Right?
you doing today? Getting my auntie ready for her vampiric
Right.
burial.
The vampire burial consisted of driving a stake through the heart of a corpse, covering the corpse in garlic, and then burning it or burying it. Common signs that qualified corpses for a vampire burial were lack of decay, fresh blood within the body, new growth of hair or nails, claw marks within the coffin, bite marks on the body or in the coffin.
By the way, I read about how many people were actually falsely assumed to be dead and then immediately buried, which would make sense if you're getting fresh blood, there's new growth.
Yes. Uh-huh.
The poor innocent victim would wake up buried alive and obviously try to bang or, claw their way out,
Yes.
which would then have the claw marks and all that. But by the time they were heard, it was either too late or they would think that they were a vampire, a witch, you know the deal, and then really would kill them. And this happened a
Yes.
lot. A lot of people didn't know, people would just fall into
Like a coma?
people would just fall into a coma
Mhm.
and then they would wake up afterwards. But this is around the time period that, again, we've discussed in other episodes where religion was a really big thing and that was the only way you would explain things. Oh, there's a demon. Oh, there's something going on. So
Yeah, we didn't fully understand the causes of death or
Yes.
illnesses. I mean, germ theory wasn't even around at the
Oh.
time. The gentleman, the doctor who insisted that surgeons wash their hands before delivering children was thrown into an asylum, and that was after this. So, I
Yeah.
mean, there was a lot of misunderstanding
Yes.
of what was going on.
Mhm.
There was also a huge blank space in certain areas of knowledge, and this vampire hysteria led to the death of so many
many.
people over a course of 25 years.
Mhm.
And of course, during all of this, Eastern Europe was going through a constant state of political and occupational upheaval. So it wasn't just sickness
Yeah.
that was throwing people into a panic.
It was mental illness.
It was political unrest. I mean, if you think back, not to be, too relevant, when things were going to hell in a handbasket, it felt like in 2020, it's because there was political unrest.
Yes.
It's because there was societal disquiet and there was a pandemic. So at this time period in the 1720s through 50s, Bulgaria was suffering under Ottoman rule, Tsar Peter the Great was enforcing massive cultural change in Russia, and Serbia was caught between the Ottomans and the Habsburg monarchy. So it was an
Chaos.
absolute perfect breeding ground for hysteria.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of political upheaval in Eastern Europe, let's go back to the 1400s real quick.
Gonna rewind a bit.
Yeah,
Go
we're
back in time.
rewinding where a certain military governor and ruler would make history, albeit dark history.
Most of history's dark.
Yeah, very true. For his cruel punishments and bloodthirstiness for power and fearful respect. Vlad III Dracula, second son of Vlad II Dracul, better known in later history as Vlad the Impaler, was the definition of a gruesome and bloody ruler. His actions were so grotesque that he would go on to be part of the inspiration for the most well-known vampire in modern myth. But first, let's give you context, which is Sarah's favorite thing. In the 50th episode, we must give context.
We must have context. Vlad was born into the noble family of Dracul in Sighișoara, Transylvania, now known as Romania. Dracul comes from the Latin word Draco, or dragon. Vlad's father, Vlad II, received the name Dracul after being indicted into the Order of the Dragon.
Such a cool name, by the way.
Oh, it's so cool. Which was created for the sole purpose of defending Christian Europe from the Ottoman Empire.
But Sarah, if Vlad's family's last name, or sort of last name, was Dracul,
Quasi.
why is he Vlad Dracula?
Easy. Dracula means son of Dracul in Romanian.
Wow.
Pretty easy.
Yeah,
pretty simple.
Pretty simple. In 1436, the family moved to Wallachia, which is now also Romania. Before you get confused, like I did, modern-day Romania covers what used to be separately known as the historical regions of Transylvania, Wallachia, and Moldavia. Transylvania and Moldavia were side by side, while Wallachia was just south of them. It's like a little heart. Okay? Back to Vlad, who did not have a heart. Now in Wallachia, his father takes the seat as ruler. But 6 years later, both Vlad and his brother are sent to the Ottoman Empire as collateral, which always seems to happen. They just gave their children away as collateral so many times in like different fights and a lot of war.
I mean, it was a hostage. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a hostage situation to ensure peace.
Yes.
Of you will not attack me or else I will attack your child.
Exactly. So this was done to ensure that their father would support the empire's policies. The collateral gift obviously doesn't last, because 6 years after being in the Ottoman Empire, Vlad learns his father and eldest brothers were assassinated by nobles and quickly goes back to Wallachia. It would take 8 years of battling nobles and his own brother, who was still back in the Ottoman court, until Vlad would finally succeed in regaining his rightful place as ruler of Wallachia. And then, well, that's when Vlad started becoming creative.
We love creativity
Oh,
most of the time.
yeah.
Most of the time. So Vlad was known for impaling his enemies on stakes in the ground and leaving them to die a slow and agonizing death. Historical reports state that in a battle in 1462, Vlad left thousands of impaled victims on stakes in a field for the sole purpose of deterring the Ottoman forces, which, you know what?
It worked.
I would be deterred.
It worked.
I would be deterred.
Yeah.
These actions led him to earn the title Vlad Tepes, Romanian for Vlad the Impaler.
Ooh.
In another account, a group of Ottoman messengers came to speak to Vlad, but refused to take off their turbans due to their own religious customs. Commending their devotion, Vlad ensured their turbans would never be taken off by having them forcefully stapled to their skulls.
Bro.
Whew.
As atrocious as these acts are, somehow these actions were overlooked because he had pretty positive reviews in Romania and other parts of Europe. His victory over the Ottomans were greatly celebrated. Even the Pope of that time period was like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, we support this.
He was brutal and cruel towards his enemies, and his own people found that brutality to be just. So
hard times. Hard times to live in.
Hard times.
Now, what is highly debated about Vlad Dracula was whether or not he actually imbibed the blood of his enemies. So great was his bloodthirsty reputation that some people took that bloodthirst literally.
Mm-hmm.
It was rumored that Vlad would sit amongst the executed while he ate his meals, and that he would dip his bread into their blood and eat it. This may have been influenced by the mythical Strigoi, Romanian undead who drink blood, turn invisible, and shapeshift. But this rumored detail, paired with Vlad's proclivity for wooden stakes, his Romanian bloodline, and even his name, would possibly spark the imagination of an Irish theater major and novelist.
And before we talk about him, I do also want to place that I was reading a lot of the stories of Vlad II might and possibly were super exaggerated because during that time, the printing press in Romania, and they were printing about all these stories, and people were just coming up with these like ludicrous things about Vlad. So there is actually no possible fact of everything. Like everything could be exaggerated, some things could be true. But
well, think about it. These people don't want to be occupied by another country, so they're like, "Stay away! Our ruler's crazy."
Yeah,
we gotta build up that reputation.
Vlad be crazy. We can all agree that he had to have been a little crazy. So
just a little.
Now let's go back to that theater major, shall we? Bram Stoker's Dracula took some inspiration from Vlad Dracula. The key word being some. In modern Romanian, the word drac means devil. It is possible that Stoker took the idea of the modern word and its association with the devil, and not because of anything else that dealt with Vlad. In fact, this statement was found in Stoker's notebooks. Dracula means devil. Wallachians were accustomed to give it as a surname to any person who rendered himself conspicuous by courage, cruel actions, or cunning, which could also come from what Vlad did in the past, right? So this is like language evolving, right? So Stoker was primarily inspired by folklore, history, and current events. Stoker took over 100 pages of notes as he researched ideas for his Gothic novel, and spent a great deal of time in libraries learning about myths and legends that surrounded the supernatural being he wanted to write. He would have been a perfect Story Sirens.
He absolutely would have.
He absolutely would have. He would have had fun with us. Why not?
Oh, he'd have so much fun. And he took it very seriously.
Yeah. So he'd be like, "Please, ma'ams, stop your giggling." Among his research notes were clippings from American newspapers discussing the rise of vampire hysteria on the East Coast.
Funny how vampire hysteria keeps coming up again. Because now we are over 100 years after the Eastern European vampire panic. And now, welcome to the late 1800s in America. In the 1880s and 1890s, the Brown family of Exeter, Rhode Island, suffered hardship after hardship. The matriarch of the family, Mary Eliza Brown, contracted tuberculosis, also known as consumption, and never recovered. She died on December 8, 1883. Then her oldest daughter, Mary Olive, died from tuberculosis on June 6, 1884, at only 20 years old.
Real quick, a reminder that tuberculosis was rampant during this time. So a lot of people were dying from it because it is a disease that you can contract from other people and from the air.
Highly contagious. Highly contagious and very hard to control or to cure. Almost impossible to cure back in those days. Only a few years later, Mercy and Edwin Brown both contracted tuberculosis in 1891. George Brown was desperate to save his children, But sadly, Mercy passed away in January 1892 at the age of 19.
Oh, so young.
Now, as Yenny mentioned, at this time in history, tuberculosis was almost always a death sentence. It was a highly misunderstood disease that was highly contagious. Common folklore and superstitions at this time, however, stated that if multiple deaths occurred within one family, it was most likely because the spirit of one of the dead family members was sticking around and haunting the family. Remember those revenants we talked about earlier?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So in his grief and his fear for his son, his only remaining child, George Brown agreed to exhume the bodies of his wife and daughters in March of 1892. Now, keep in mind also, Mercy passed in January of the same year. Mary Eliza and Mary Olive had by this point been dead for 9 and 8 years, respectively.
Yeah.
Whereas Mercy had only been dead for a few months. Now, the mother and oldest daughter's bodies had decayed and deteriorated the expected amount. And friends and neighbors of the Browns, as well as local physicians, decided it was not those two who were responsible for haunting the family.
Oh my God. You imagine also like the trauma of like opening up this, coffin, your wife and kid are like decomposed.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much trauma going on here.
But Mercy's body, however, had not greatly decomposed. Witnesses claimed Mercy looked as if she was sleeping, and it was discovered that there was still blood in her heart. The lack of decomposition was used as evidence that Mercy was undead and was haunting her family. The lack of decomposition was used as evidence that Mercy was undead and was haunting her family. The town decided to disregard the fact that Mercy had been placed in an above-ground vault since she died in winter.
Only like a couple months before this.
So, she might have been frozen, y'all. But anyway, her heart and liver were burned, and the ashes were mixed with water and given to Edwin Brown to drink so that his health could be restored. The tonic, obviously, did not heal the young man, and he died a few months later, which I'm going to leave it.
I do.
Like my face.
I love hearing you read it for the first time, because I'm like, she didn't read this, did she?
No, I didn't. Because if I would have read this...
No, I love it. I love it.
Tragically, George Brown was the only member of his family never to catch the fearsome illness, mainly because he didn't drink his daughter's ashes. In fact...
No. Edwin already had the disease, and everybody caught it from before drinking the ashes.
Okay, fair. In fact, he lived until 1922 and saw the discovery of the tuberculosis vaccination and went, shit.
That's a cruel irony, I would say.
That's super cruel. And I don't believe that anybody was haunting, but I also do believe somewhat in curses and damn, dude, your whole family died. There was something going on there. There was something going on.
That is horrible.
Yeah, and we do feel bad for the family. It's just, I'm so sorry. It's just drinking ashes.
Yenny, we know this now. We can't put the lens of presentism on what they
right.
did, even though we're like, what?
Yeah.
What? I mean, if they knew how we got penicillin, thanks to using mold, they'd be looking at us going, y'all are crazy.
They just needed Claire to go back in time to Rhode Island instead of to Scotland. So,
all right. So,
yeah. And if
Outlander reference aside.
Outlander reference aside.
It's easy to see how this tragedy inspired Stoker. In fact, some historians even suspect that he based the character of Lucy from Dracula off of Mercy.
Ooh.
But, moving away from this tragedy, what if we told you Bram Stoker's Dracula was not the first vampire novel?
Oh, suspense. Plot twist.
Roughly 25 years before Dracula was published, Irish author Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu published his gothic horror novella in chapters in the serial publication The Dark Blue, a literary magazine based out of London. The story followed protagonist Laura as she was pursued both romantically and predatorily by the vampiress Carmilla. The novella explores themes of identity, both sexual and moral, isolation, innocence, decadence, the roles of men and women, societal expectations, and power dynamics, all against a backdrop of creeping terror. The novella, called Carmilla, has since become one of the most well-known works of vampire literature, was groundbreaking at the time of its publication, as both the heroine and villainess were female characters who acted on their own desires, and it became a cornerstone for Gothic literature.
Other early publications about vampires include John William Polidori's short work, The Vampire, with a Y, published in 1819. It was based off of Lord Byron's story, which was written during the same weekend getaway where Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. This is one of the first instances we have in literature of sexy vampire.
Which, of course, it was Lord Byron who made the vampire sexy. Lord Byron's just like, wood.
1823's Wake Not the Dead by Ernst Rauppach, 1885's Manor by Karl Heinrich Ulrichs, and For the Blood is Life by F. Marion Crawford, published in 1905.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of history and tragedy, naturally.
Yes.
So let's get into some fun facts about vampires.
Ooh.
Why can't vampires go out into the sun?
Some researchers believe this trope was born out of a lack of understanding for certain physical maladies.
Of
Are
course.
we not surprised?
All of them.
Come on now.
All of them.
Porphyria is a disease that causes terrible blisters on the skin when exposed to sunlight, pale skin, and causes gums to recede, thus making teeth look larger. During a time while belief in vampirism was rampant, the Middle Ages, this illness was attributed to the supernatural. It didn't help that consuming blood was a way sufferers of porphyria could help lessen their symptoms. So, yeah.
Yeah. So again, that whole vicious vampiric cycle going on.
Now, Sarah, why do vampires hate garlic, though?
There are a few suspected reasons for this trope. Garlic, like salt, was believed to ward off decay. It is used in pickling quite often. Holistic medicine believes that garlic is a purifying agent, just like older cultures did.
Yes.
And as vampires were impure beings, they could not come into contact with it. Garlic also wards off mosquitoes, real-life vampires. And unfortunately, garlic often exacerbates symptoms of porphyria.
Lord.
Those people who have all those symptoms that are associated with vampirism would see garlic and withdraw. So, now, why don't vampires have a reflection?
This belief came about around the same time as Stoker's Dracula. It's a newer vampire trope. Mirrors used to be made with silver, and silver was believed to drive away evil spirits. Check out our Mirrors episode, it's really good. Another bit of folklore is that only beings with souls can have reflections, and vampires are soulless. But Edward and the Cullens aren't. Therefore, no reflection. As of 1996, mirrors stopped using silver, so maybe vampires could also use mirrors, I guess.
Those mirrors, that kind of makes sense.
Mirror on the wall. All right. Tell me, though, why do vampires bite the neck of their victims and not anywhere else?
Well, one, vampires are bloodsuckers and necks are pretty easy targets.
Fair.
Two, as time went on and the popularity of the vampire grew and grew, the vampire became less Walking Dead and more ancient and attractive villain.
Wow.
In short, the vampire became erotic. And the neck is an erogenous zone.
Yes, Edward. Edward.
However, the ancient pattern of the vampire biting and eating human flesh and, biting anywhere, not just the neck, may be blamed on another disease. Not porphyria this time, but rabies. Rabies causes sensitivity to light, hydrophobia, and there are some myths where vampires cannot cross water. Frothing at the mouth, muscle spasms, and high levels of aggression. All common themes in vampire legends. During the vampire hysteria in 18th century Eastern Europe, there were multiple reported rabies outbreaks. medical horror stories often correlate to an uptick in vampire sightings.
Okay, no. Too scary now. Let's go back to the fun stuff, shall we?
Yeah. Why can't vampires enter a dwelling without permission?
Well, it was often believed in folklore that the home was a sacred place. Evil spirits were repelled by the safety of the home and could only break it with explicit permission from a person inside the home. This myth comes from Romania and Hungary, so definitely know when you allow someone in, you're allowing all of them in. In fact, we have some myths in, we have some legends in that same mirror episode of people placing a mirror in front of their door. So if you come in with negative energy, the mirror expels it.
Yeah, the whole of be careful of what you welcome into your home is definitely, like the vampire, a worldwide myth.
Oh, yeah.
So, now, for a little bit more vampire fun, we asked around online to find out who were some of the most beloved vampires in media. Favorite vampires include...
You can't. You know I was going to talk about it. The Cullens.
I know.
Of everything and everywhere, I keep learning more things about the Cullens. One of which...
I'm learning against my will.
Yes, you are. So one of which, their skin is apparently, described as being rocks, so...
Oh, okay, that makes sense, because they sparkle and everything, so okay, kind of like granite.
But,
okay.
So I guess when they're having sex, you just hear two rocks, going... Yeah.
Never do that again.
Yeah,
Never do that again,
Tell
Yenny.
me, how does that happen? Also, immortality, but with the side of religion, can we talk about that? They're, vampires, but, they're still, I have a soul. And so that was a whole chapter or two about Edward being I feel like I have a soul, or I don't feel like I deserve you, Bella, but let's get married and then we can have sex. Then does Bella really smell that bad? I mean, the iconic scene of
it's not that she smells bad, Yenny. It's that he's attracted to her.
I mean, come on, the iconic scene in Twilight where he's
pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. No, too much. We're moving on. We're moving on to our other vampires. All right.
Fine.
Lestat de Lioncourt and Louis de Pontelac and Armand of Interview with the Vampire and the Vampire Chronicles, which I will never get tired of those books. And while I do think that the Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise movie of Interview with the Vampire is an atrocity,
they do look hot.
It's a guilty pleasure movie, and I will say the entire ending of that movie, the final scene, is what totally changed my mind on that movie, because I was like, you know what? That is absolutely what Lestat would do. Okay, all right, this is fine. This is not true to the book, but it is true to Lestat, mostly. Have not watched the new TV series yet. I need to get on that.
I have not either, but you know what? They are not the only sexy duo. We cannot not talk about the Salvatores from Vampire Diaries. Talk about two brothers that I would not mind having, a date with at the same time. In the same bed. All right, anywho.
Another favorite vampire was the sexy and definitely very bad boy, Kiefer Sutherland's character David from The Lost Boys. 80s heartthrob.
All right, Laszlo Cravensworth and Naja of Antipaxos from What We Do in the Shadows.
Which, are they couples goals? Is it an unhealthy relationship? How do we feel about them? Laszlo. I do love them together. I do love them. And, of course, Blade. We did have a commenter just say, hunter. Do I have to say anything else? Blade, which totally makes sense. So, now.
Wait. Can I just tell you, that was one of the first times that I saw beautiful body abs, and I was a little kid, and my mom and dad were watching it, and I was like...
Yeah, that's a life-changing moment. Yeah, where you're just like...
and also...
He's so pretty. He's so pretty and angsty.
Oh my gosh. And wait. Also, Wesley Snipes is an amazing actor. He can do any freaking movie character. Oh my God. And Blade, scrumptious. Anywho, let's go into modern media before I explode.
Oh, no, I'm just sitting here thinking that now we need to do a watch party where you see Demolition Man, which is a nuts movie, and I love it. All right, so modern media. This is a little bit of a never-ending list. So
Yeah.
if we forgot your favorite vampire franchise, we're sorry. We don't want this episode to become 5 hours long.
Yes.
So we're just trying to cover some really big popular things that are either in current media or have been in very recent media. So starting off with the film Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan, which was a fantastic movie, which keeps a lot of the classic vampire tropes.
Yes.
Check it out. Also, Michael B. Jordan. Oh,
Hello.
the man you are.
Mm-hmm. So Thirsty, a vampire novel by Rachel Harrison.
Hey, it's about two girl best friends.
Hey.
And they turn into vampires.
Ooh.
And that sounds very, very much like a Story Siren special.
Oh, I love that.
Right. The film, Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Gary Oldman, which, oh, I love it. The costumes in that, I love it.
What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show.
Exactly. They're some of our favorite vampires. Vampires of Del Norte, the novel by Isabel Cañas.
Cirque du Freak book series.
And I was told we don't talk about the Cirque du Freak movie.
Why?
This is just what I'm hearing. Apparently, for true Cirque du Freak book fans, the movie was a disservice, which, as somebody who has watched several of her favorite books become terrible, terrible movies, I will sympathize.
That's me with the Percy Jackson series.
Yeah.
Logan Lerman, I love. Oh my God, the hottest man.
Oh, yeah. We don't hold
Yum.
we don't hold it against the actors.
No, but dang.
We hold it against the screenwriters.
Yeah. Also, we have to talk about Twilight, the rerun happening with Fathom Events. It's happening very soon, and I'm so excited. And I am taking my bestie Charlene for her birthday to watch
Aw,
Twilight.
yay.
All we do is send each other Twilight memes. So shout out to Charlene.
That's perfect. Disney's Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire and The Little Vampire.
Such
Do you remember
cute.
growing up with those movies? Those were very fun movies.
I loved it so much. The Hotel Transylvania franchise with Adam Sandler was hilarious.
Oh, right?
And
right?
Selena Gomez.
Right? On the entirely opposite side of family television, Midnight Mass, the TV show by Mike Flanagan, creator of The Haunting of Hill House, which,
Ooh.
man, that show gets dark.
Yeah,
That
I
show
don't
gets
watch
very
no
dark.
scary things. Remember Chicken Bak Bak?
Right.
Discovery of Witches book series, which, Sarah, you've told me I must
I love that book
read.
series. It's so good. It's so good. The Nosferatu films, old and new.
Underworld film franchise. Hello.
Yep. The Dark Shadows TV show from when our moms were girls, and the movie that came out 10 years ago or something.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show. Talk about an awesome female lead. Absolutely loved that TV series.
And the nostalgia.
Yes.
Nostalgia. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, the book by Grady Hendrix. Wonderful.
Ooh.
Weird. Campy. Horrifying.
The Carmilla novella by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu in the 1872 version. Just saying.
Yes, which I guess we should also therefore add Dracula by Bram Stoker, since we discussed both books,
Fair,
and that
fair.
was 1897. So, yes. So, Carmilla and Dracula.
Yes.
I Am Legend, the book only
Ooh.
by Richard Matheson, because I believe in the movie they kind of take out the vampire element.
Oh, A Dowry of Blood book by S.T. Gibson.
Which I have not read that yet, but I do believe that follows The Brides of Dracula.
Ooh.
So, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Again, more female vampires
Yes.
doing terrifying female vampire things.
I love it. Helsing, the anime.
Call of the Night, the anime.
Trinity Blood, the anime.
The Vampire Hunter D franchise, which
Oh, yeah.
includes light novels, books, animes, all of it.
Castlevania TV show and game franchise.
Vampire Survivors, the video game, one of my husband's favorites.
Ooh.
And, special announcement, the book Raven Rebel by Ali Hollis is a gothic fantasy cottagecore romance featuring a morally black vampire love interest. And it's now available for purchase in bookstores.
And the audiobook is narrated by a really cool gal. Her name is Sarah Ruth Thomas of Story Sirens. I mean, I'm just saying. And it comes out later this month. So go ahead
sounds
and definitely support one of your favorite sirens, because you've got two favorites, but yeah.
Right. But, I do feel like this is a perfect gift to all of you as we enter
Yes.
spooky season.
Spooky!
So,
All right, let's go
All
into
right.
that siren call.
Let's do our siren call.
Join our Discord and let's talk vampires. What is your favorite vampire franchise? Do you enjoy reading and watching vampires all year, or are they only for spooky season? Are you like Charlene and I that actually love watching Twilight again and again and again?
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, come on. How nostalgic can we get here? So, all right, folks. Thank you again for an entire year of folklore fun and mythical mayhem. We have loved every second of it. And we can't wait to share more stories with you.
Absolutely. And if you ever want to see us around your town, let us know and let your conventions know. You can
You can request.
Yes, you can request us. You can request us, and we'd love to do any convention. Come see you guys and do a special episode at the convention. So definitely request us. We're here, and we're
here.
So happy.
We're here and we'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. And we're so happy. Thank you so much for all your continuous support. We love you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Story Sirens. You can follow us on Instagram at Story Sirens Podcast. Want to support us? Send us a cup of Ko-fi by searching ko-fi.com/storysirens. We've got lots of treats for those who become siren seekers. All research materials can be found in the episode summary. Music by Donald Guzzi and artwork by Alexis Torres. Story Sirens is a Feather and Fin production. See you soon.